Hey guys, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of Legends of Tomorrow Season 5 review series, and today I'm going to be talking about episode 3, Slay Anything. Now, this was an episode that I was initially very resistant to watching because when I read what it was going to be about, it just sounded really stupid to me, and it wasn't until a very good friend of mine watched this episode. He told me afterwards that you really need to see this episode, it's really good. There are lots of cool references that you'll pick up on straight away, and it pays homage to a lot of the old classic horror movies of the 80s all the way up to the early 2000s. So he sold it to me, and after biting the bullet I decided to watch this episode for myself, and it surprisingly turned out to be really good. It was a lot of fun, and I like the way they paid homage to old horror films like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, things like that. I think there was even a bit of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in there somewhere, and they paid homage to like the old classic horror characters like Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers. I think they even paid homage to Friday the 13th somewhere in that episode. And the character that they came up with for the villain for this episode was like a combination of Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers. So you put the two together and you got Freddy Myers. So I thought that was a really cool way to pay homage to those old classic horror villains. And yeah, as I said, this was really cool, and it was a nice throwback to the old teen stuff back in the late 80s to the early 90s. So there was a bit of everything in this episode. There was something there for everyone. So this was a nice cool love letter to those old days. So anyway, with that all said, let's get right into it. Let's talk about episode 3, Slay Anything. So we're taken to Iron Heights in 2004, where we see Freddy Myers is executed for a series of grisly murders back in 1989. We hear his final words are that he loves his mother, who is observing the execution from another room. As the coroner drives away and with the body, his van goes out of control and crashes. We learn that Freddy is missing and the coroner is dead. Meanwhile, on the Wave Rider, Constantine tries to leave and Sarah is more than ready to get rid of him. We learn that he's been trying to move out for a while. Ray suggests that to deal with the encore problem, as they're calling it, they should just go back to the time when they were children and reform them. Nora Dark shows up to spend time with Ray, but she promptly falls asleep. Nate and Birad try to deal with the Zari situation, and Nate wants to try to get her to remember her old life. Birad doesn't think there's been any change with Zari, and they leave her so they can go on the mission. And that mission is the serial killer mission, and Ava knows all about the story. She has a podcast all about serial killers. The Legends learn that the 15-year reunion for the high school class is being terrorised by Freddy, so the Legends are off to try and stop him. Mick reveals that he went to the school there, and Ava is having a crazy true crime fangirl moment. Outside, Nate and Ray find a murdered police officer. Freddy Myers is also there. When they go to unveil the memorial inside, lone survivor Tiffany is missing and soon discovered murdered on the memorial. Freddy locks Nate and Ray out of the school, and now Sarah, Ava and Mick are stuck inside with him. We then see Northumberland County in the UK in 2020, where Constantine and Gary arrive what is essentially Constantine's old house, where he encounters himself, except it's not him, it's Charlie. But Constantine isn't happy to see her. Meanwhile, at the high school reunion, it turns out that the doors are sealed technically. Mick is focused on saving a Pacific student, Ali. Sarah decides to send Ray and Nate back to 1989 to try to reform Freddy so he never becomes the serial killer. They observe Freddy being bullied and Tiffany surprisingly asking Freddy to the prom. Nate thinks that's what triggers Freddy, as they think it's a trick to try and humiliate him. Back in 2004, Ava and Sarah encounter the killer who uses telekinetic powers to brutally kill one of his former peers. On the Wave Rider, Nate and Ray in 1989 get information to find Freddy at home, but Nora starts to get a headache. Posed as a fairy godmother, she can hear the wishes of the prom kids and she gets sent to Freddy, the kid with the deepest need. Freddy is about to tell Nora his wish, but his mother interrupts him. She's not happy that he's going to the prom. Freddy also ultimately wishes for a cool suit and a grand prom entrance with a new car. In 2004, Mick finds Ali, and while they talk about what might have been, Ali is killed by the serial killer. We then are taken back to 1989, where Ray and Nate figure out what the bullies are up to, but Tiffany bails out on a plan to drop trash on Freddy. Instead, the bullies just attack Freddy directly, revealing the prank and humiliate him. Nora chases after him and tries to talk him down. He makes one more wish and takes the stage and wins over the crowd with an awesome dance show. On the Wave Rider, Zari tries to get online with Gideon and has a brief flashback to her previous life and manages to break out, which sends her to 1989, where she gets into Freddy's limo. Then it's revealed that Freddy isn't the serial killer after all. In 2004, the killer fries Mick and it turns out it's Freddy's mum. She was the real killer and had a heart attack when Freddy was executed. Back in 1989, the killer attacks the limo. Fights happen in both 2004 and 1989, with Zari unmasking the killer. Birad arrives and stops her, causing her to vanish in 2004. Zari decides to stick with the team and everyone joins up in 2004. Mick reconnects with Ali. Freddy is revealed to be engaged to Tiffany. Meanwhile, at Constantine's house, he explains the North Castle crew to Charlie and the powerful witch he came to consult, Astra's deceased mum. After a pep talk from Charlie, he decides to do so, and that pretty much wraps up episode 3. As I said, this episode surprisingly turned out to be a lot of fun. It was really cool to see them giving out little shout outs and referencing all of the old classic 80s to early 2000s horror movies. And yeah, I really enjoyed this episode a lot, and as I said before, this episode is so far one of my favourites of season 5. Hopefully that will turn into more than just one favourite as we go along here, but so far, as I've said before, I'm really enjoying season 5 a lot more than I enjoyed season 4, because season 4 was just terrible beyond words. But yeah, overall, great episode. Absolutely loved it. So I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 3? Did you think it was good? What did you think of the Freddy Myers character? Do you think that was a nice shout out to Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers? What did you think about all of the references they made to the other horror movies? Did you think they were cool? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will be back next time for another edition of the Season 5 review series, where I'll be talking about Episode 4. So until next time, take care everybody and stay safe.